What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel for some more Cyberpunk 2077 news. In today's episode, we're going over some statements from one of Cyberpunk 2077's senior quest designers regarding conclusions of some of the more standout quests, a famous rapper using Cyberpunk as an inspiration, a nice little Easter egg in the Polish secret ending of Cyberpunk with potential DLC implications, Tesla sporting the computational horsepower to drive Cyberpunk, and more. Just as a reminder, guys, get 15% off high quality metal art from Displate with the link in the pinned comment. First up in today's episode, and arguably the most important here for players, is a new security exploit on the PC when it comes to installing mods. Just a couple of days ago, CD Projekt Red support took to Twitter to issue a statement regarding this whole issue, mentioning, quote, "If you plan to use Cyberpunk mods and custom saves on PC, use caution. We've been made aware of a vulnerability in the external DLL files the game uses, which can be used to execute code on PCs. Issue will be fixed ASAP. For now, please refrain from using files from unknown sources." Now, one workaround does seem to be the Cyber Engines Tweaks mod, which does have an update that addresses the major security vulnerability fixed for modding, where yes, real-life netrunners and hackers can actually get access to your PC, which I don't have to tell you guys is not a good thing overall. This is one of the most popular mods on Nexus and does have a wide variety of features, and is also now compatible with patch 1.1, whereas when 1.1 had just come out, it was not. I know most people are at the stage where they have replayed the game a couple times and are going to be adding in or exploring mods at this point, so make sure that you're doing your due diligence and checking to make sure the location you're downloading mods from is secure. Moving on, we have kind of an odd one coming out of the world of hip-hop. It seems that Cyberpunk 2077 has heavily inspired rapper NBA Youngboy to produce the song Toxic Punk, and has even used the game's cover and E3 2018 artworks in some of the promotional art for the single. Now obviously Youngboy must have some semblance of legal counsel around him, but rappers are notorious for doing what they want anyways, so I'm not sure about the legality of this as a whole. It's probably transformative enough and there's some loopholes here somewhere, but it'll be interesting to see if the legal team at CD Projekt will do anything about this, if they even can. Regardless, not a huge fan of Youngboy, but hey, free promotion is free promotion. If you see this cover art anywhere on the internet or on Spotify or wherever else, no, this is actually not a joke, this is legit. Moving on, we have a very interesting article from Gamasutra featuring a statistical analysis of over 3,700 Metacritic reviews of Cyberpunk 2077, pulling some fascinating details about the consensus on the game through this lens. Now this was done by an application by the name of Luminoso, which is used for analyzing conversational text such as support tickets, open-ended survey responses, and product reviews, so do keep that in mind. With that being said, let's go over some of these points. To the surprise of no one, the first point in this analysis is that people who played on the PC and Stadia had a much more favorable score of the game, with the 200 reviewers to score Cyberpunk on Stadia giving the game an average score of 7.5, and PC having an average score of 7.7. The second biggest sample size was that of the PS4, which scored the lowest at a 6.8 out of 10. Now number 2 surprised me quite a bit, and according to the team's analysis of gameplay elements, there seemed to be no positives on this front. According to GS, users that wrote specifically about gameplay elements, whether that was driving, shooting, hacking, mechanics, stealth, and AI, posted a below average rating score. AI did score the lowest here by a fair margin, while hacking outranked all other gameplay metrics with an average score of just under 7. Overall, Night City itself, immersion, and characters and quests scored fairly high, whereas exposition, choices, and dialogue scored fairly low, largely due to the many users mentioning an illusion of choice. Keanu Reeves was a bright spot, at least within the Metacritic review crowd, with a 71% of mentions of him being in a positive light. Now personally, scrolling through this, I do think Metacritic has it right in most places, and things do start to become more black and white as you start to dive into larger sample sizes, like GS has done here. Moving on, we have some details from the now richest man in the world, Elon Musk, his thoughts on Cyberpunk and the new Tesla Model S. In a tweet post-patch 1.1, Elon mentioned that, quote, "With Cyberpunk, even the hotfixes literally have hotfixes, but great game." More recently, he also praised the design of Cyberpunk by saying, quote, "The aesthetics of Cyberpunk are incredible." It seems like Musk is enjoying Cyberpunk, but much like most of us, is pretty worn out on the bugs and hotfixes thus far. Now with the sleek new Model S launching sometime this month, Elon also took the opportunity to mention that it can run Cyberpunk 2077 on its touchscreen, potentially as a meme due to the demanding nature of Cyberpunk, but likely not as the vehicle is equipped with an AMD Navi 23 GPU. Now this is on par with the PS5, meaning that yes, indeed the new Tesla will be able to run Cyberpunk 2077. Definitely a missed opportunity for a collaboration here between CDPR and Elon to incorporate some sort of Delamain interface, or to name it the Excelsior, but I also think CDPR have landed enough licensing and branding deals to last a lifetime. Moving on, we have a new Easter egg / secret moment in the Polish version of Cyberpunk, brought to light by a user by the name of Drzuski over on Reddit. Spoiler warning, if you have not finished the story of Cyberpunk 2077, you might want to skip this part. If you played the Legend of the Afterlife ending, you'll know that you wake up in V's fancy apartment, now running the Afterlife bar. During this ending, you wake up to the Morro Rock station on full blast, talking about the Crystal Palace. Now remember, this is a radio station hosted by the creator of the Cyberpunk IP, Mike Pondsmith. Anyways, in the English version, Pondsmith will deliver a line in the realm of, "Long time no hear, Johnny Silverhand. We remember you, bastard, wherever you are." In the Polish version, which according to Drzuski did not happen during the English playthrough, is a bit different. In this version, the line, quote, "wherever you are," is not that of Mike Pondsmith, but briefly changes to Johnny's voice. Now, if CDPR decides to make this the canon ending going forward into DLC, and knowing what we do know about Mr. Blue Eyes and the rogue AI conspiracy theory, it's definitely possible that Silverhand has had some time to ruminate behind the black wall and might be a little bit pissed off at V for his decision. Next up, we have details via Cyberpunk 2077 developer Patrick Mills, who in a Twitter thread mentioned, quote, "When people talk about my quests in CP77, they usually like them, but they also mention the lack of definitive conclusions in them. I also like to frustrate players with ambiguity." Now, there are a fair amount of quests with pretty open endings, which not only gives players something to mull over, but also gives room for expansion options and narratives. Let me know what you guys think, and thank you so much for tuning in. For more Cyberpunk and gaming content, join the Neon Nation by subscribing to the Neon Arcade.